Welcome to the Creative Plan Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and rpgpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
I saw that in Vegas.
We're live.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I took a
Look
flight.
at these three lovely creatures here today. Happy Saturday morning at TusCon. Take it away.
45.
Woohoo.
Yes,
Sorry, there's no tripod. There is only Zool.
Don't open the refrigerator door.
No, the eggs.
It is 10:02, so
10:02.
Yes.
shall
So
we?
we're here for mashups, pinups,
Yeah,
and more.
yeah.
Pinups, mashups,
Gender bend.
gender
Gender
bend,
bending.
Is
and
it,
more.
is it still gender bend if I don't align to stereotypical gender norms?
You
Absolutely.
can bend all the ways.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Gender bending doesn't necessarily mean that
Okay.
you have to switch a role, does it? Does it mean that you have to
Yeah, well,
dress?
like my gender bend is when I play Hannah Solo. I have a steampunk Han Solo, so technically, since I'm female, it's a gender bend.
But I think even if you did Han Solo as a
Yeah.
lady, you could say, I'm gender bending now.
Correct. That's exactly what was my point.
Right.
Thank you very much, Madam.
Yeah.
Lots of options.
Lots
Yeah.
of options. Agreed with you. 100%.
I'm getting ready to do a gender bend because I totally love The Greatest Show,
Yes.
and I want to do the Ringmaster, of
Oh.
course.
Because the best
she can do the acrobat, but
absolutely not.
I'm way too old for that crap.
No clothing required. I do not do leotards anymore.
That's
Hello.
legit, sis.
A bearded lady.
Turn that off.
I'm so sorry. Sure, so
Yes,
people can see we're in here.
Yeah.
We are in here.
Okay.
We've even been somewhat caffeinated. Well, I have.
And Robert and June are joining us from afar.
Hi, June.
Hi, June.
Hello, June and Robert.
Welcome.
Dangers of
Yes. Magnets.
no.
Oh, thank you.
Your corset did that.
Perfection, sweetheart.
I was trying to hold the
so-
stand.
What is your favorite mashup? Costume that you've done.
Still a mashup where we combine two things.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
Hello.
What are two mashups that we've done?
I like my Erasida because I steampunked it. Because I can't leave anything alone. So I took from the last Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I steampunked it in a variety of ways. She has like clockwork on her chest, and I took her armor and I hammered wire to do the open bustle crinoline. I just can't leave it. This is the purist here.
Actually, I'm wearing a mashup.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because it's a theme.
Thank you. I was just going to say my
so-
mashup for later today, so please
Yeah.
explain yours.
So when I found out the theme of Gaslight Steampunk Expo for 2018, that it was Tiki Punk, and I'm like, well, of course I love steampunk, but how am I going to mash that up with Tiki? So I started with color because I love, my signature color is blue. So I'm like blue Hawaiian cocktail. So then I started, once I had my idea for the theme, then I started, well, okay, I want to do Victorian, high Victorian, of course. I typically do that. But then I thought of, well, how am I going to do this? Well, I want to incorporate a Hawaiian fabric. Let me stand up.
Please, so you can see this truth of fabric.
My head's not really
We should
on.
go back to introducing ourselves. We'll go
No,
back
you
there.
should definitely introduce yourselves.
Temperance. I've been costuming for decades. Emphasis, technical theater from the U of A. Yeah.
And you do steampunk.
And I do steampunk, avid steampunk. So,
Finish yours.
so, of course I had to
Come
have a
around the
Hawaiian
table, we
print.
can't see your fabric.
And you must see this fabric.
Yes.
It's fabulous.
I'm going to moderate
Yeah,
from the
once I
audience.
found a Hawaiian fabric print that I loved, that I had to have. From there, I decided to go with some friends and I. We were discussing which Victorian styles. So, what does Hawaii have? Waterfalls. This is an asymmetrical waterfall apron. So, and I love to do ribbon trims. So
Yes,
I
she
wanted
does.
to do something that sort of would give the impression of a built-in Hawaiian lei. So I trimmed it out completely. And this is 84 feet of folded, hand-folded beaded ribbon trim, all the way around.
Brava!
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so including the hat. So this was my Hawaiian steampunk mashup. I gave thought to not only the fabric choices, the lines, but I wanted to look kind of like a frosted blue Hawaiian cocktail.
And you do, my darling.
Thank
I would
you.
sip on you.
You know, the ice, type of thing. So,
Is it too early for that?
Tasty
No.
indeed.
but I also thought, I don't want to always do steampunk. I'm going to have a separate skirt for this outfit in the yellow and gold stripe, so that it can be an everyday, like sort of boating ensemble, because the stripes and the blue and gold were traditional English seaside colors.
Oh.
Gorgeous.
Well, my favourite mashup so far, I'm getting ready to do another one.
Tisha, who are you?
Oh, yes. Well, Penny Black is the name.
Costume
Mockery
is
is
the
the game. I've been cosplaying for way too many years, but that will date me, honey, so we won't say that. I actually got started in the makeup and hair, and that led me to doing costuming. I was drug in by this lady, who happens to be my lovely sister. And we have been doing sewing and costuming. We started in the Society for Creative Anachronism and started doing steampunk about 8
8 years ago now, I
years
think.
ago, I believe. Had never looked back because it is absolutely fantastic, and you watching all know what I mean. So, I actually have my favorite mashup from the same exact event, Gaslight Expo 2018. I will be wearing it later today, so tune in for the fashion show, because I'm sure we will be showing that live as well.
She will be resplendent.
Yes. I did a doll Carmen Miranda. And I also took a little steampunk and a little Victorian. I, for the first time, did traditional Victorian patterns. I did a tulip trumpet skirt and doctored it
Doctor, the heck out of it.
to extreme measures, we'll see. I did a butterfly bustle that I actually cut up quite a bit, so it does not have a train because, well, you'll see later. But I had wonderful ruffles that I wanted to expose, and so I did not want to have a train that got in the way of all the fabulousness. Instead of doing actually a corset top, I took a crop top and did for the first time ever pleating of my own. And some ruffles, magical ruffles. I didn't have time to do this wonderful trim that Madame Temperance here has taught me to do. She's showed me several times, and if you ask me right now off the top of my head, I probably could not show you. And then I made, for the first time ever, my first hat. Actually, yes, based on this very construction here by Madame Askew, and Lovely Temperance showed me the base knowledge for that. And then built it with a lot of fruit. I also constructed earrings, decorated my own shoes, and I had a sidekick. So he was dressed lovely as well. He does not have his costume from the original debut of the costume.
Did she wake you up?
Yeah, he's like,
Poor thing.
but that was probably my favorite mashup to date. I do have a clockwork doll key that I will be wearing as well. That came with a pauldron I made and a little friend named Tiki. You will get to see later. So please tune in for our fashion show
5 p.m.
at 5 p.m. in this lovely room as well.
That's 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
That is not a plug for the fashion show or anything like that.
No,
No.
plug away. And who are you, Madam Nellie?
That's me.
Yes. Who are you?
Mademoiselle, I've been costuming longer than either of them have been alive. Valid.
Fair point.
I am not her
Makes me
sister,
feel so much younger.
but I love her for that. Thank you.
You're all sisters of the needle.
And yeah, I started as a child. I didn't know you could dress up any other day than Halloween. I just dressed up all the time. I was the weird kid.
I love it.
And I don't think I've done but one costume that is not a mashup, in all honesty. My Mascanada is the only one I tried to.
Yeah, that was pretty pure.
I tried to stay pure.
Sand
on
was
that one.
amazing.
I
About
did.
not
I
being
did
purist.
just a little steampunk on, just a little.
Can I tell you the best part about her mascanada? She got this infection in her nose,
Oh,
and it
geez.
made it swell up like a little ball, but it was red, and it was perfect
It was
for her
fabulous.
cosplay.
But I couldn't wear any makeup, so it was like there was no makeup to go with Mascanada.
But she did amazing on the costume to match. For someone who doesn't really stay true to items,
I don't.
she is very much branch outside of the box, and she did a great job.
I
staying true.
love to take something that inspires me. So my next build is going to be Mother Malkin from Seventh Son.
That's
and-
our next project.
Yeah, that's our next
future
big project.
projects.
And
What's our next future
and the same thing. Like I looked at her costume and it's stunning, but I don't. It's. I know it's homage to do a direct, but to me it's just as much a compliment to take that inspiration and do your own thing with it. And so to me, mashups are very much about get that inspiration and then take it where you want it to go, whatever your dream, whatever. The greatest thing about steampunk to me is whatever your imagination come up with is acceptable. Unlike some other, groups that want you to like follow, toe the line.
Yes.
And I just love.
Which can be great too. There is a lot, not to knock them. because
Oh no!
there is a lot.
It's beautiful, and I do that
Yes,
stuff
there's a
too. But
lot to
this
do.
is so much fun because I'm not restricted.
Being meticulous and learning how to follow a guideline and
Right. And understanding the history and doing,
Right.
like you knew about the blue and gold being the English seaside
Right,
colors and stuff
right.
like that, So this is a mashup. What I'm wearing is a mashup because it is a traditional period sporting bicycling outfit for women.
Yes, it's so pretty.
However, it's been twisted modern because this piece would not have existed. It would have just stopped at the jacket. And then, and of course my fabrics are like, while they're linen and silks, which is appropriate, they're covered in little cutouts that I made of airplanes and bicycles and things that are not appropriate. But it goes with it to me, so it was what my vision was. So I don't think I have anything that's not a mashup other than that one costume.
I have a question for you three delightful creatures.
Yes.
When you are going to do an homage, a mashup, or a pin-up version of something, or a crossplay of something, how do you pick your iconic details to make that character carry through the change process?
Well, I did a Star Wars Princess Leia once, original New Hope Princess Leia, and hers it's a very simple gown with a belt that has some features on it, but it's all white. And she has the ram's horn headdress. So what I did was, of course, I'm going to have a white skirt because I'm going to do,
wait for me.
white, blouse with the sleeves. Well, what I did was, okay, first thing iconic about her is that ram's horn headdress.
Right.
Everyone knows Princess Leia with the ram's horn headdress.
Yeah.
So, okay, I start there. How am I going to do that steampunk? Well, what I did was I actually took a little bit of medieval and did a reticulated headdress with on the side,
And
made
it's
out
lovely.
of brass.
It's
It was
lovely.
beautiful.
And then she has the hood on hers. So what I did to make it steampunk was to make it an actual separate item. So I could flip it up, but so it gives it layers.
Right.
And instead of her white belt with the silver accents and designs on it, I did a gray waist cincher or Spanish
belts.
belt over my over the outfit, over the corset, to give to tie in that differentiation, and that's kind of how I did my Princess Leia.
It's very recognizable.
Yeah.
That is an excellent question because it's a great fear when you are going to do a mashup that your character will be recognizable in the steampunk world. I had a fear doing Carmen that I was going to get the Chiquita Banana Girl. Oh, people wouldn't remember Carmen because she is such a dated character. But she was very recognizable in her time. So my big thing when we talked it out was, well, it has to be a fruit hat.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows the fruit hat. It was the same thing with Leia's roles, right? If I could do a fruit hat, she did bright, colorful outfits. She did a lot of ruffles. She did big sleeves. My original build for a sleeve, and the thing I'm still working on, is to do an actual build that will be metal pieces that come out and form a pineapple. And it will actually be two might end up one because I do have a little attachment I have to carry around all the time. It's like a tumor. And it will actually be a metal build that I'm creating out of foam, but I will because metal is a problem.
Heavy.
And hot, and it cuts you. And it will actually be a build that looks like pieces that come out. It's hard to describe when you're pointing it, but it basically will come out like this in a diamond shape all around in a basket weave and form a shape that looks like a pineapple that will be painted into rusted metal. And that will be an arm guard around the entire upper arm. That will be my big steampunk ta-da piece. That will really give it its whole Big Bang theory. Right. But it was really, really having one pronounced piece to me. If you can do that, that really ties into your character. Props are another way to do it. If your character has a prop or a theme, or if it has one iconic thing or traditional outfit color. There's a color theme that they go with traditionally. That's another way to do it as well.
Yeah, so, since we're talking about the Tiki one, so I decided to do Calypso from Pirates of the Caribbean, and I'm obviously not the right shade for that. And
She did not blackface.
I did not.
Because you're a kind and sensible person.
Yes,
I am,
very
and
true.
I really don't want anyone to deck me. I'm old for that. I break easy. So when I was looking at her and looking at what would be iconic so it would be recognizable as Calypso, because I was obviously going to twist it steampunk. I looked at the ruffles in Ragged, and she just was, everything was kind of ragged, haphazard. The colors had they were bright colors, but they were dirtied.
Patinaed.
Yeah. And so I tried to follow that, and then I tried to pull ocean things in because she is the ocean, the sea witch. So the headpiece became one of those things that I could make very much look like water. And so I ended up with the foam wig that was 9 million miles high. And yesterday, someone who had not seen me before asked me what I was. And when he described me to a lady who could not see, he said, yeah, her head is like waves. And I'm like, oh my God, you so got it. But yeah, trying, and in order to capture because her makeup is very minimalist, but she's dark, I did some wasteland makeup to pull that dark in.
Like a voodoo goddess.
Yeah, so I did some voodoo priestess wasteland combination, and I think it really pulled, the makeup actually pulled a lot of what she was into it, because she was like a witch, a priestess, so yeah, each piece is different. Each piece, you have to look at it and what speaks to you that is iconic from it. You're right, the headdress was such a great one, and your hat, but when I picked Calypso, she didn't have anything like that. So I had to really look at it and figure out what would make it still.
But some of the accents to your wig were reminiscent of her style of hair in the movie.
Right.
But just
yeah, because I did the things
stylized.
that kind of look like
Grandiose.
dreads.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you didn't wear dreads.
Right. Well, and the Kraken was hers, and so I had lots of octopuses on me.
So I have a question
Octopi. I'm sorry,
for you
octopi.
ladies.
Yes.
Because of course we all just had TusCon Comic Con, and we've all been to many other cons. What favorite mashup have you seen? Not one that you have personally done, but from others. Like, for example, mine, I went to this panel at Phoenix Comic Con once, and these lovely ladies did a mashup of Assassin's Creed with Disney princesses.
Oh my God!
It was amazing. I'll show you the pictures.
Exquisite.
Awesome.
These
Snow White
ladies
Assassin's Creed.
put in, so what they did was they took the very, very popular, hood style, and those ensembles, but then they incorporated each Disney princess's hair, their colors of their outfits.
Oh, gosh.
If they had, there was one who did Tangled, and she even had a little Pasquale.
Oh my gosh.
And they were so incredibly well done. All of their armors and stuff were in their color schemes from the Disney princesses, and they just looked amazing. That is probably my favorite mashup that I have seen done. You mean that I haven't personally done, or but that was yes, oh my God, this was done so incredibly well. And they did. They took each, so for example, the one that was dressed as Snow White. So yeah, she had the whole pointed hood type of thing, but her coat had the puff and slash sleeves of the traditional Disney princess.
Excellent.
And it totally
and do you have pictures?
No, I don't.
Oh my God!
I'll find them. It was from a few years
my
ago.
husband may have some, but it was just amazing how well these ladies did it.
Great thought.
And seeing a range, not just one would make you happy, but seeing multiple together at the same time, it was and they were just really super nice.
Oh my gosh.
I think the one I remember most that struck me as just so beautifully done was Diane Lynn did Maleficent, and they did the fairies, and they did it medieval.
Ooh.
And it was just so she had hennin horns and
A veil.
and they did the three fairies along with her, and they all matched the colors. Again, they followed. But they all did these Renaissance medieval style dresses, and it was just,
different
and they were all
styles,
excellent seamstresses on top of it. So, and the makeup and everything was the movie. They kept to the iconic movie, but they took all of the clothing to the Renaissance medieval time period, and it was really a beautiful rendition of it.
Can be very impactful.
It was just, yeah. I was like, wow.
So my favorite was from TusCon, the first year that we went up to Wisconsin, and these ladies were a little elderly, but they did complete Victorian costumes, and they did gargoyles. And they did total gray makeup. Their outfits were completely gray, and they were all grayed out. Their hair, their faces, their hands, everything was gray. And their dresses were gray, and it was complete flawless color.
Yeah, the color matching was beautiful.
Exactly. And their skit on stage, they just changed poses. They were completely still.
Oh my God.
So the lights would blink off, and then they would be in another pose when the lights came on.
So they were weeping angels.
Yes. But they were done.
But they did like
Victorian.
the gargoyles, Victorian, yes.
Oh my God, I would love
It
to
was
see
epic.
that.
I might have
epic.
pictures.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was epic. And their gowns they were in
I don't know if I got
what's
pictures.
expert level. So the gowns.
Masters. Yeah, they were master
Masters,
level.
They were, yes.
Oh. And
Yeah.
it's so adorable when kids do it too.
Yeah.
One of the TusCons we saw a family do Doctor Who, and it was a pink Dalek, like a Hello Kitty Dalek. It was so sweet. It was adorable. Oh my God, she was amazing.
Kids steal the show. You don't
They
ever
do.
take children or dogs with you. Ask Miss Penny.
No, you get shown
You get
up
shown up every time.
all the time.
Yeah.
So we asked what your next mashup was. Yes.
Oh,
Can you talk about your next
Yes.
mashup?
Wild Wild West Con, as y'all know, is coming up second weekend of March.
Yes.
And its theme is the Galactic Steampunk Federation.
Robots. versus
So
aliens.
sci-fi. So I wholly expect numerous mashups in all their exquisite beauty.
Yes.
And I will be attempting to do one. And I'm going to be doing a original series Spock.
Lovely.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Victorian.
Prosper.
Yes, I've planned that I'm going to attempt to do that. I even already have the ears. A friend of mine, Bruce, gave me ears to get ready. I'll do, of course, the wig.
Right.
You know, I'll do a page boy wig because, of course, this is also a gender bend.
Right.
Yes.
I will not be.
Perfect.
I will actually be doing a skirt. It's going to be, instead of black pants, I'm doing a black skirt, and I'm even thinking of cropping it because, of course, they had the cropped with the boots.
Yeah, like,
The
yeah,
scant.
with boots.
Yeah.
Yes.
The scant, because they had the
Or you could
cropped.
do bloomers.
No, I want the skirts.
Have we
I
met
like the
temperance?
skirts.
You could do bloomers.
I'm still doing bloomers. I got bloomers on now.
Show
No,
me
As
bloomers.
to be
no,
old.
because I want to do a polonaise.
Oh, okay.
I want to do a polonaise.
Okay.
For my Spock. And I'm even thinking maybe that one day then wear the gold sash and a fake beard. Mirror, mirror.
Yes.
So,
I know
I'm
secrets. That would be
tempted.
so good.
That is my next. Yes. So, I mean, that is my next logical step.
Logical. I'm sure it will be a great
But
success.
you can't really see it probably because my hat's on.
Oh, that's
and
good.
eyebrow.
I have heard a rumor that a few other people are considering doing Mirror Mirror one day. So I've heard
So
that.
yes, I am going to be doing original series Spock.
I have no idea.
But because I had the
Steampunk
idea
and
because
prosper.
why? I like blue. It's my signature color. Who wears blue in a sci-fi kind of thing? Spock.
He's green, and blue looks good.
So no,
Well,
he's
it brings out your
he's
color.
green-blooded. He was originally supposed to be red-skinned, but it was too devil-like.
Oh my
But
goodness.
with the ears.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So I took, I can use my signature blue because I like to make things that I can mix and match with. Come on.
We're both fans of blue, if you can
Yes.
tell.
Yes.
And plus, being able to
Odd man to help.
reuse
me
accessories
too.
and other items is a boon. So I go, okay, I'll do blue. Where's blue? Spock. Okay, I've always wanted to try this outfit, so I'm gonna do a polonaise, which is sort of like the bodice with a overskirt attached to it, sort of like a day dress,
Right.
the
No, they're
Victorian.
difficult, yes.
And since the iconic uniform is the black crop pants with the boots and the shirt, okay, I'll wear a black skirt with my black boots, blue polonaise. Of course, I'll do a pageboy wig.
Which will look excellent on your feature.
Gold
Only if I get your
rickrack.
help, because,
Gold
Absolutely.
rickrack.
Yes, gold rickrack, although there is actually, it's not true rickrack, there is a special. I will actually try to get the more accurate screen version. I got some friends, they know where they can tell me where, give me the hookup as to
Oh,
where
I think I
can
know
find
your
it.
friend. Yes.
Yes, the most delightful man. So I can try and get the original, although I was thinking of doing a 3/4, with the poof. I might go for a full length sleeve just so I can do slightly
We
more
might have to airbrush
screen
you.
accurate.
We might have to
Light green.
airbrush you a pale green.
No.
So, weren't you just talking about doing a
Green-blooded,
pinup,
not-
Miss Penny?
Yes, but I didn't talk about my next mashup.
So that's
okay.
mine. So, nah.
Okay, so my next mashup will be for. I hope it's not before then. It could be. We have so many cons. I get lost. So
Which
do you
one
have
is
any
it?
questions prior at all?
No, not
There's
so
so many
far.
of you.
in this.
Any of on
Questions?
on the
You know,
line?
They're
On
beating down the
line?
doors at 10 a.m. to come to
I
the
know.
But
panel.
I've got to tell
Everybody's
you,
still sleeping.
there are a lot of positive comments from
Oh,
our friends at bar
yay! That's great.
who are very
Okay.
excited.
So my next mashup will be for we are actually heading to TusCon in Massachusetts, and since the theme in the original Salem, as
Okay, now are we talking the original Salem? Because Salem, Massachusetts is not the original Salem.
Correct.
we were told this by the
Yes,
master.
the original Salem, because my family's from Massachusetts and I've been there many times, is actually Danvers, Massachusetts.
Which is where the con
which is where the con is.
Mhm.
Danvers,
So
Massachusetts.
just,
a little history lesson for
yes,
you.
they changed their name because of all the bad press. They did.
Wouldn't you? I mean, no one would live there. It would be very sad. Everyone was moving away.
Yes.
The economy went down.
And a funny side note, the Danvers Mental Institution there that they have redone to like condos and stuff was actually where my grandmother worked, and they filmed the movie Session 9.
I don't
The horror
know.
movie.
Oh.
Neither do I.
Yes.
I have quite the imagination, and I don't sleep after I watch horrors. I watched The Birds as a kid, and my mother had to give me a tranquilizer to put me to sleep.
My grandmother actually watched the whole thing, and she only watched miniseries,
Yeah.
She watched the whole thing, and it was so cute because she's like, oh, well, this is where we used to do this, and oh, that's where we used to do that. Back in like the early days, because of course she was born in like 1915.
I was going to say 12.
You were
Because that's
close.
what year I always say when they're like,
Well, that's actually the year the Titanic sank.
1912. That's a good year. And that's where I came from.
Yes.
A good year, or maybe a bad year.
Or maybe a bad year,
depending.
depending on how you look at it.
So you didn't tell us your
Yes,
mashup.
so my mashup is going to be Hella.
Ooh.
Yes. I am doing a steam. Ooh, I love the sound effects. That was lovely and perfectly timed, may I
I'm
say.
excited.
I'm excited as well. I am actually going to do a steampunk Hella, and instead of doing a full bodysuit, I am going to do a corset, and it will glow.
Ooh.
Because we have the master of glow.
Because I live with a lighting expert. I have a turning key that's based on an Arduino that is motion activated and moves as fast as I move. So just imagine what my corset will do.
Looking forward to that.
I'm so excited.
Very exciting.
I'm very excited. So yes, I will have a light up corset that you will not see during the day because it will actually be covered in a black film. And so it will just look like it's green and then it will actually light up green.
Oh,
Yes.
fabulous.
So very excited. Very excited.
And she's going to do a lot of crunches before then.
More squats, I think. I saw my backside in the mirror here, and I was not excited about all the work I have ahead of me until March.
It looks very pert to me.
Thank you, love. Thank you.
So now, have any of you done any pinups, or are you planning pinups?
Okay, so pinup by definition, are we talking about pinup?
I mean, you give us a working definition of pinup, and that's what we're talking about.
Well, I was thinking like pinup that you saw in the olden days.
Yes.
Okay, so we just did our first 40s costumes that we will be displaying tomorrow. And we just had this conversation yesterday, Magnus, you and I was thinking, oh, I totally love retro. Like, love it. When I performed with the band I had previously, that we performed last year, Dickens Tea actually, the style of music that we did was perfect for a retro dress. And I was thinking of doing my next 40s as a pinup, actually. I think it would be quite fun. I love the makeup, I love the music, I love the style. Penny would be perfect for it because she's a doll, and a pinup doll. I mean, who doesn't need one of those?
And
It
you should make her a
seems on the
superhero
nose.
for it.
Good.
Right.
Like
I mean,
a
I didn't mean
superhero
at home.
pinup,
Like, you can't have
40s
Penny the pinup doll. She's
doll.
not for sale.
We can sell pictures.
We could do photos. Those could be for sale.
For a fee.
Yes.
For a fee.
The penny
A
maintenance fee.
nominal fee. Penny needs to make a living.
What are some of the elements you think are key in a pinup? You talked about sort of the era.
Yes. Hair, makeup, shoes, fishnets.
Yes. Exposed leg.
Which I
There's a
don't have.
lot of
Yes,
leg.
there was a lot of leg. I think
Lot
Pinup's
of
legs are very, very key. Pinup, I think the whole thing with the pinup is class. It was an attitude with Pinups. Nowadays, there's not a
It's like
They don't have the same
difference between
sass.
burlesque
there's
and
not a je ne sais
strip.
quoi about a pinup had
There
an
was a
air
certain
about
charm.
her. There was a charm, there was a flirt, there was a look.
Well, and
there was
they all had a look too. Like when
Yeah,
you look
it
at the
was very
pinups, there would be a
classic.
cowboy,
There was a-
there would be a beach, there would be a the
Yes.
negligee. Whatever they did, they followed the whole. Everything followed that whole theme. I
Go
think.
look at Corset Story. I think they do pinup perfect.
They do.
They all have very full lips. There's this glamour hair. There's a winged eye. There's glamour and glitz.
Glamour. They're very
They're
glamorous.
very glamorous. Pinups are very glamorous, and you think high class. You think I would like
Because
to
they don't
talk
have to
to
be,
her.
they're not overly revealing.
No,
No,
you don't have to be.
Exactly. I mean, it's like,
Pinup could be in a cut-off pair of shorts and a button-down plaid shirt tied at the waist.
Right.
There's a lovely pinup from the era who did even pin up in like red long underwears.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's pretty
I could
The
totally
long
do
johns.
that one.
concealing.
I would love that with the little
Yeah.
button flap.
Yes, yes.
And I would put a fake butt under it and have the flap open. That would be so much fun.
yeah, it's sort of like a burlesque. It's like a photograph
Yes,
burlesque where it's the
gypsy.
art of the allure and seduction without actually being,
Correct.
you know, you're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if I were to do a pinup,
It's the idea.
yeah, I would do like. So I'm in love with the '40s musicals.
Yes.
And Ginger Rogers and the costumes.
feathers,
I like the
the
feathers
ostrich,
and all of that.
the
If I were to
pearls,
do one, I would do a short
diamonds.
version of one of her dance costumes. You know, because
So-
I still want enough coverage. Because at
Exactly.
my age, some things aren't sitting in the same place they used to.
Corsets, that's what those are for.
Gravity is not our
And so yes, so we want to disguise those and show the things that look good.
Yeah. I think Gypsy Rose said it best. Always leave them wanting more.
Right.
That's what pinups were about.
Right.
Always leave them wanting more.
And they're
Leave
starting
it
to
to
come
the
out with patterns
imagination.
now too. So for those of us who are pattern bound, which that was really interesting last night in the panel,
In your
talking about
panel.
she hated
Patterns.
patterns. But if you are, it is a good jump off point. There are like now a number of the superheroes that they're
The
putting
DC
out as
bombshells.
pinup. Yeah, the bombshell line.
I've done
Yeah,
them.
it's
And they're
DC bombshell
adorable.
line.
They're a great jump off point if somebody wants
By
to
the
try
way,
a pinup.
if you are doing the DC bombshell line, boy short. That is not made for anyone. Except a Japanese little girl that has no hips,
And no butt.
and no
You will
any
have to
bottom,
adjust the pattern.
unless she's 12.
Yes.
I made that boy short. I am not a large person. I'm not a small person.
Yeah, you
You're
But
fairly
I'm an average
petite.
sized person. I'm pretty petite. That short
are. Did not cover a butt
did
cheek.
not cover my thigh. I love that DC bombshell pattern. I made it as an Alice. I made an Alice in Wonderland outfit, and I did the top piece. Loved it. Fit beautifully. I did it out of a crepe satin. Has no stretch. I don't recommend cutting that boy short anywhere near your size. Cut it about 3 sizes bigger. Get
And
that
work your way down.
bombshell boy short.
Do a mock-up first.
I
Three
cut it-
sizes
yeah,
larger.
I cut 2
just
sizes larger,
And
and
it was,
it did not fit. Yes.
Yeah.
And I did my measurements and everything, and still.
but so that's a really
Yeah.
good point. If you're going to use vintage patterns
Yeah.
are a thing.
Yes.
You can find them. They're
Yes.
out there. They're
they're
uncut.
amazing. And yes,
There are also a lot of the
it's not
companies are
true.
bringing them back because there's interest in them. Be very careful about the sizing because if it says it's original sizing, if you currently wear a size 8, you're probably going to need a 14, 16, maybe even an 18.
I am a size 2'4". I cut at a size 8'10".
Right. So be very careful if you're using a vintage pattern to start off from. Take your measurements, do a mock-up. Please don't cut your
Mock-ups.
beautiful fabric,
Don't be
you know,
silly.
because you
I
will
ended up
cry.
with a patchwork skirt. She
Yeah.
had adorable, but
Yeah.
not what I was looking for.
But vintage patterns are sized very differently than what we have today, so be very careful in that. And I think that's part of the problem with the bombshell thing is they went back, found some vintage patterns, reproduced them, but didn't warn people that they were vintage sized.
It's
which
like
is very
doing a medieval redaction recipe.
Where they give you no measurements.
Right.
Yes.
And they say a farthing, and you do a cup. And they really meant a bushel. So, do you have any more questions for us, Matt Miscue? Do we have any questions in the audience?
Right, we have a few minutes if people in the
Mashups,
audience would like to
pinups?
ask.
Gender
Gender
bends.
bending? Nothing? You're
I
all
just
so
want to say
quiet.
you guys are amazing.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I mean, all your costumes.
Thank you so much.
You do a mean Jane though.
Oh.
Do
Yeah.
you?
I
Yeah,
said
you
this
gotta have
right
the
off
car.
the shelf of the
It's
wrap.
all about the hat.
Yeah. So there's another way to start too.
Oh yes, here, let me show you my costumes. Everyone else showed you theirs. And yeah, here, you take off any here.
On the blue
Here's
shelf.
another way to start
He loves the
costuming.
shelf.
Let's talk about this. So, excuse my runny nose here. So,
Hermione said she had to have that jacket.
this is an
She
interesting
did.
way to costume. So, this shirt was a purchase that I adapted. So, show you
Oh,
this.
she's stripping now.
Show you this.
It's a little early for that, baby.
Well, we were talking about pinups, so I just thought I would. So I added the details of the buttons and the trim to just make it more tailored to the costume. I made the skirt in completion to match. And then I had a horrific accident where bleach got into my washing machine. And my mom said, just leave it. It looks like a squid's fit on your outfit. I'm too much of a perfectionist. So I had to replace the entire blue section. And I matched that blue ribbon exactly to where my blue was. So ripping out the blue to match and leave the ribbon in place was a nightmare. But I did it. And the white had to get fully lined because it was a little thin. But the waistband was going to be horrible to replace. So I just added ribbon over the top of it to match the rest of it.
Looks fabulous.
Already went
Good
with
call.
this.
Good call.
Yes.
And the
then,
jacket.
believe it or not, I found this jacket at a secondhand store.
Oh,
It is a Betsy Johnson, and it came with a dress.
I had to buy it for her. I made her buy the dress, but I said, I will buy you the jacket because, like, you need that jacket.
That has to happen.
Yes.
It did for all of us. For all of us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Secondhand store called To Be Continued
In Phoenix.
Scottsdale.
Mhm.
And this keeps happening to the buttons because apparently when you buy designer secondhand, they sew the
We
buttons
have
on
a
like
sewing
that.
kit in the
Yeah, thank you. We have 3.
Okay.
How many of us
We've got
all
one
have
in
a
the
sewing kit
concrete.
with them?
Right.
Yeah.
No,
So-
How many
Yes.
customers don't have a sewing kit?
But it did come with 4 replacement buttons.
Oh, nice.
So there's that. So another way to do a costume: find bits and pieces, add your detail to make it match, and then make a piece to go along with it. That is another way to start. This was what I think my very first steampunk costume.
That you did, yes.
First skirt I made that was a steampunk piece. And I've changed the hat out a couple times. And so you don't always have to start, the hard way by making a full piece.
Stand up. I'm gonna fix your pleat from the back.
Thank you.
The pleat was wrong. It had to be fixed.
Yes, it was. It was tucked up. It was horrible.
That won't do. No,
Here's
we
your
can't
mama.
have that.
And
He's like-
then I made this little aviator cap because
He needs
well,
to match.
you
I
had
needed his goggles.
right.
Oh,
And then
this
I rub and buffed these. Yes, because well I had to.
He needed them.
It's much easier to sew for dogs. Believe me.
Have you ever done that? Have you found a piece that you just said, okay, I'm going to build a costume
It's
around
hard for me to find pieces. I
Is it?
can't shop off the rack for most places, but fortunately, places like there are certain plus size clothiers that do go, hey, plus size girls like stylish stuff too.
that? Yeah,
Yes, we
why
do.
not? Thank you.
So now, like places like Torrid, I'll get like a
Yeah.
military style jacket,
Yes,
and so like for when I went to TusCon for my first time, I got a this beautiful coat, very old school kind of vintage looking, but and then to make it just a little more steampunk and a little warmer, since I was going to Wisconsin in November, the end of November, and I had made I wore the coat over my steampunk outfit, and then over the coat I had a faux fur lined capelet that I wore with it, and the coat was gray, but the capelet was black, and of course I had black boots on and stuff, and I had a black muff that was given to me by a friend who had made it. I was so comfy and warm, and I had to walk over a mile from my hotel to where the con was, and it was the first snow of the year.
Oh.
And fortunately, I did have my husband with me because these boots do not have any gripping. There's like, it was like, I could have ice skated, I almost did, but he caught me. So I had I didn't have any extra like costume underneath my regular steampunk. I had my muff, that coat, and the capelet. I was cozy. I was so nice. And we walked home in a winter wonderland, literally snowing, and it was beautiful.
The first snow of the year.
And that was just a find. And then when I would come into the hotel, people would like, oh, you look so amazing, It's like, of course, it was too hot to keep wearing it,
Yeah.
but But
Finds
it was,
are good. The finds are good.
and you
My
just
costume-
add a little
yes.
extra item to it,
Yes,
and
we do.
pow,
Yeah.
it just sings.
My costume tomorrow is built completely off of a pair of shoes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Sure,
Shoes are
she's
everything.
Shoes
that have
are-
been sitting in the closet for a couple of years. She's going, I need
So
to
I
make
had to
something to
have
go
them.
with this. Yeah.
They look
Had to
like-
have the shoes.
Had to. They look like Manolo Blahniks, and I got them for $20.
Yeah,
Had
to. Yeah. Quiet.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of minutes left. Do you have any last advice you'd like to share?
Tidbits about mashups, pinups, or gender bending.
I would say if there's a character that speaks to you, go for it. And like, that's not, it's not my body type, or it's not my gender, or it's not my. If that character speaks to you, there's nothing stopping you but yourself.
Nothing
Yeah.
That is true. I did for the first time 2 years ago, Jaya from Star Trek, and her costume is almost completely comprised of leather. I had not sewn leather ever in my life. I did that entire costume myself, sewed most of the leather by hand, I was so proud of all the accomplishment of making that costume, and I found a way to do it. So, absolutely right, Ms. Temperance. There is a costume that you see no matter the gender, no matter if it's spandex and you've never worn spandex, you don't have to make it out of spandex. Hella is spandex. I am wearing leggings that I will make out of spandex somehow. I've never sewn spandex. I've never made a corset. I don't know how to make it light up. I'm making foam arm things. I don't do foam. Find a way. Just do it. Experiment. You will learn something new. You will be proud of your costume, and you will be so happy that you did it, and you will be very proud to wear it.
I think my Dark Crystal is that way. So my daughter grew up with all the fantasy movies, Legend and Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and and we love Dark Crystal. It's one of my favorite Jim Henson movies. And I wanted to do a Lance Strider, and I'm not a spring chicken, and it requires stilts. And everyone's like, "You're nuts," and I'm like, "I can do this."
Practice.
And I got drywall stilts and steampunked them so that it looked appropriate. And my Lance Strider happened to have been the one that got pushed off the cliff. He survived. He was just a little battered. He had some parts replaced.
Like an eyeball.
An eyeball, his feet, And it was a bunch of things I had never done before. One, I'd never walked on stilts before, and I had to do 4 legs. And I had never done a big foam build ever. I had done little foam pieces, and it was big foam build, and it was fur. And I had paper mache before, but it had been a long time ago. So, and I paper mache'd the head, and so I did a lot of things that I was very intimidated by doing it, but the end result was so much fun, and people still recognized, as much as I battered that poor thing and twisted into the steampunk side, people went, "That's from that movie with the puppets." So yeah, don't be intimidated by anything, and don't let people tell you what you can and cannot cosplay. Absolutely. If it does talk to you, then do it. Find a way to do it.
Ask friends, ask people you know for advice. Come to any of us. We all are on.
The community is very open to helping.
We're on Facebook. Madam Askew knows how to get a hold of all of us. We're all happy to give advice. We hold workshops at our house all the time.
We have tutorials every tutorials.
Yeah, they do wonderful.
We're going to start doing some tutorials with Madam Askew. And we're all happy to help. Always.
We don't hoard our knowledge.
Oh, cosplayers like to help other cosplayers because their success is our joy.
Right. Absolutely. We want everyone to look spectacular.
We showed them how to do that. Oh my gosh,
oh my gosh, look where you went with
this.
That happens all the time.
I taught a friend to sew, and she's like way better than me.
Yeah. You say that every time, but we all know.
It's true. Yes. Oh my God, she's amazing.
Who won the compliment duel last weekend?
Yes.
About the self-deprecating?
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
You're cut off.
Yes. Yes. She's an amazing seamstress. We both go there.
Yeah.
You just have to accept the compliments. Sorry, not sorry. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for tuning in, all of you at home. We hope to see you at the fashion show, 5 o'clock. Mountain Standard Time. Woohoo!
Are we done?
Yep, we're done.
Thank you so much for coming to the panel. You know it was early.
Cosplay will find a way. Mostly through coffee or tea.
We came, we saw, we cosplayed.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition, and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.